Coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. Our guest will show you how to go from audio super nerd to super success. But first, make sure you enter the Pensado's Place Auto-Tune giveaway. That's where you can win Auto-Tune EFX, plus be eligible for the grand prize, which is Auto-Tune Vocal Studio. That comes with Auto-Tune Pro, plus the AVOX suite of plugins. Incredible tools, essential stuff for your toolbox. 3 winners of Auto-Tune EFX, plus the grand prize of Auto Vocal Studio coming up. Next week, we're going to announce 2 winners. And for you to enter, go to antarestech.com/Pensado. antarestech.com/Pensado. You can see the link right here below me. Enter your email and we'll get you going. Remember, 2 winners announced next week, and then get it in there. Speaking of winners, we've also have the winners of the iLOUD Autumn Sweepstakes. They are Aditya, Kamath, and Nina Luther. So congratulations to you folks. And you still have an opportunity to win one more week. Sign up to win either a pair of the awesome iLOUD MTMs, who do everything from they read your room and adjust to your rooms. They can use as reference monitors. They are beasts. You like them, Dave,
I love them. Incredible.
Yeah.
I use them every day.
Very popular. Or the iLOUD micro monitors, great for bedroom, studios, all that kind of stuff. How do you enter? Right here at bit.ly/iLOUD Pensado. That's bit.ly/iLOUD Pensado. One more week, so hurry up and get going. If you want some more information, sign up for our newsletter, hit like, subscribe, and click notify, and we would appreciate that. And now for our guest. There's some funny stories about our guest and his name. He's Jess Jackson. He comes from across the pond to a bunch of success here. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Glad you're here. Your career path is interesting in that you kept going and didn't let no stop you. There's lots of, like you started at 17, right?
Right.
No money, just hustle. And along the way, every time there was a no, you got past the no somehow. Where does that come from? Needing rent?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I started younger. I started DJing when I was like 12.
Right.
And I just think that I was just so, my drive for music was just so extraordinary that like anytime anyone, because you know what England's like, you know, you're British, tame it down, you know what I mean?
Conservative.
Yeah. You know, you can't do that. That's the Americans.
Right.
So I think that anytime that I got a no, it made me be like, nah. It made me stronger, and it would make me try harder.
How was the phase that you did pirate radio, which I find
I like that too.
was that like, was that instructive in your growth? Did that tell you that you had something that people liked? How did that help shape you?
Well, I mean, you're instantly a criminal.
Right away.
Right away.
It's
extremely illegal.
Right.
So
explain what pirate radio is.
So pirate radio is illegal radio.
Right.
It's in a boat off the shore.
Well, it used to be, right, in the 60s.
Yeah.
And so pirate radio for me growing up in London was, we'd build transmitters in biscuit tins, essentially. And we would climb up, 40-story blocks,
amazing,
estate buildings, like the project buildings. And we would tuck these transmitters away in elevator shafts and places where the feds couldn't get to it.
No joke.
And we'd be up there on a cold evening trying to put this antenna up on the roof and, tape it up to some sort of like,
wow,
pipe.
What was the broadcast range approximately?
Oh, the whole of London. We'd do the whole of London,
That's
25 miles circumference.
Well, the higher you got, the less.
Yeah,
right?
so we used to broadcast from like Wimbledon, which would be like, on a hill. You could see the whole of London and,
And you could just program your own stuff and do what you want to do.
Yeah,
right?
So 300 watts gets you out to, 17.5 million people.
Unbelievable.
And back then there wasn't that much space on the FM band. Like, I mean, there wasn't that many people. It wasn't that busy. It wasn't that populated as it is now. So, everyone would know that this was our frequency. And on Friday night, we'd turn on.
Right.
And on Sunday night, around 2 a.m, we'd turn off. So it was a weekend thing.
And then at some point in time, America was the goal. You did your thing there and said, let me go where I can go compete. What was the incentive?
I mean, it never really was. I was mainly making like drum and bass and you know, garage music, underground rave music at the time. And you know, that was going well, but I started making more hip hop stuff and underground, you know, hip hop stuff. And like, I would go in for these meetings with British execs and whatever, and they'd always tell me like, you know, that's not gonna go over here, you know. You know.
You're too American.
Yeah, it's like you gotta be in LA or something to do that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Got it.
Maybe I'll go to LA then.
Absolutely.
But you know, it was like, it was just another thing that I was told that I couldn't do, and it made me want to do it.
So how did you come about building your own equipment and stuff like that?
I don't know. It was, I guess I found out my granddad's an electrician. He used to like build, you know, he like partly invented the transistor and stuff like that. So, just from a young age, I was doing circuit boards, and you know, when you press the button, it makes the light up and all that kind of stuff.
I went through that too.
You went through the same thing.
I blew a lot of stuff up.
Yeah, same. I remember getting electrocuted at like 9 and shooting across the room.
But that interest has not only helped shape some of your sonic approach, right? I mean, there's a business application we'll talk about in a minute, but like the way you approach your sounds and so on and so forth, because you like technology and so on and so forth, you'll tinker with things to get it the way you want to. Right. That gives you an extra gear.
Yeah, because to me, it's commercial gear is just someone that designed something and marketed it.
What year is that picture?
Oh, that would have been 1992 or 3.
Look at that monitor. What the hell?
That's a little laptop. Oh yeah, that's my TV screen. There's a little 4-track my dad gave me. And,
cassette?
The Akai S3000, it looks like, with some zip drives.
Yeah, that's cool.
Floppy disks.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So when you see those commercial products and so on and so forth, and do you look at it and go, I can do better, I can take this apart, I can figure out a different way to utilize it. How does that affect your approach as a producer and the way you think about sounds?
Because it allows you to not be constricted by what you're using. So like, you know, if I don't like the way, like, I don't know, a compressor sounds or preamp or something, it's like maybe it sounds a bit sandpapery on the top end. It's like, okay, I know that's probably because it needs a film cap on or something, and you could just reverse engineer it and change the components.
So there's a tool belt in every studio that you go to, or you can go in and just tear.
I mean, I wouldn't change other people's shit. I mean, not like some at this table, but
absolutely, absolutely.
We swore to secrecy on that.
The art of collaboration, we actually have a good friend of yours who's going to join us in a little bit, Mike Dean, and you guys have a special relationship. But there was a time where Tyga was one of the steps along the way, right?
Right.
And most of that early stuff, the mixtapes were done really in your bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Just like the picture we saw?
That was at my mum's, like when I was a kid, and I was still living in London. But shortly after that, I got a publishing deal from Pete Townsend. I met him through my mum and stuff.
Not bad.
And not a bad person to have met and be mentored under.
Big time.
And you know, Pete sort of introduced me to the analog world. Because I thought I was hot shit, you know, I had Logic, and I was like, no, this is how you make drum and bass, we're cool, we're doing the raves and whatever. And Pete would take me to like a basement in his house where he had like a surplus of 50 Neve preamps just sitting there doing nothing, and he'd be like, these are Neves, you need to learn about this. And like, nah, that's old people shit. I don't need to know that, you know?
Right.
And eventually now I'm like modifying Neves and trying to figure out how to use them.
Exactly.
So I just had a little studio apartment where the bed was here, the equipment was here. And I just had the equipment that Pete had essentially bought me in my publishing deal with him, with Ill Pie Publishing. And And you know, me and Tiger would just spend, you know, 14, 15, 16 hours a day just recording.
Just creating music. Just me and him. And then Schoolboy Q, he would sit on the back of the room at the couch and watch us for hours on end.
It seems like, I've said this before, so a lot of times I hear about a different path to success. And the one that I'm hearing a lot from a lot of the guests is the pathway where you come along and grow up with an artist. And so you came along with Tyga and you grew together. And do you see that as a viable path for other engineers trying to get in the system?
Yeah, I do. Because I think you got, you know, like how now you got Max Lord, 808 with Juice WRLD, and you got, you know, 40 with Drake. And, you know, me and 40 used to call each other up and be like, you know.
And Derek and
Yeah, he used to be like, I beat you, you know, I made the vocals louder this time. No, I beat you this time. And, you know, Derek used to hit me up and say, how can I make this vocal cut more? And I think, you know, we're all insecure on a root level. And I think we're all, you know, trying to help each other and grow in the same way. And I think that, you know, if you can find someone like an artist that you resonate with, and if an artist can find, you know, a producer and engineer that they resonate with, I think that's the key to success, because you're both on the same journey towards the same
you're
thing.
At the same level, technique-wise and talent-wise. And so you grow together. And so if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. And you learn and you...
Yeah, and you learn each other and you figure it out. And then, you know, maybe you're writing songs with each other and you're throwing out ideas.
And one of the other things that I think, I think there's a chapter before that. I mean, you know, Ollie's a close friend as well. Both of you guys, or a lot of you guys that you just mentioned, a lot of those guys and ladies start really early with not a lot.
Right.
And so you tend to take a tool or a couple of tools that you do have, and you get really good at those tools. And then somebody notices that also has potential, and then you hook up and then go forward. If you don't have that first chapter, you can't get to the second chapter, right? And that's the part that people don't talk about. Because I know when Ollie was 16, he was running around Compton and Watts with just, you know, a sampler.
Yeah.
And he had to show somebody that he was really good. And somebody went, oh, you are. And all of a sudden, one thing leads to another. So, I mean, I think the lesson to the audience is always got to have drive, always got to take creativity. You can't think more tools necessarily make you better. You got to get great with what you have.
You got to get great with what you have.
Right.
And I think that's part of the beauty of growing up with nothing. Is that you make the most of what you do have.
Yeah.
You know, I remember like I didn't have any plugins. I couldn't afford anything. You know, we had a few cracks or whatever, but you know, I mean, it was just like trying to make it work with the very least.
Makes you good.
Makes you good.
Makes you good. Absolutely. And then the other thing that you did that I like is you sampled career locations. Came to the U.S., said, okay, let me check Miami out, let me check Atlanta out, let me check New York. Weighed it all and said, LA's where I'm going, right? Is that kind of, because you said forget winter.
The East Coast is a bit cold for me.
Yeah, you'd come from the UK, so you knew cold. So you knew cold, you knew rainy. But you never you were fearless about finding the spot where you needed to be to get it going. And then I think you stuck to your guns and met people and people met you, and all of a sudden, you're starting to work with folks, right? Is that
and I mean, it didn't work that way to begin with. It was, you know, I moved back to London countless times, you know, where it didn't work. It was like I run out of money. I got to go and work at a convenience store again for another year, save up enough to get another flight, try it again. You know what I mean? It was tough. You know, I don't come from money. My parents are very broke, and it was a tough time in London. So moving out here with zero, and then at the same time trying to network, trying to be creative.
Right.
You know, it's tough.
It's tough. Is there a signature Jess Jackson sound? When people want to work with you, what is it that you think they like that you do?
I think most of the time people want my drums and bass. I came from that, you know, drum and bass, like in the UK, like, you know, the British sound, the rave sound, it's like it's a lot of bass, a lot of drum, you know, hard hitting drums. It's that.
And that, as you got here, became popular in hip hop and popular in popular music and commercial music. So.
Well, things changed here too.
Yeah.
You know, the sound changed here and it became more UK.
Yeah.
And they started embracing that sounds a bit more. So I was lucky to move out of here at the same time that the US started to embrace the UK sounds.
It's fascinating. And then your super nerdiness and so on and so forth. At some point in time, there's a relationship with you and the AUTUNS that tell us that story.
So, you know, you make some money, right? You make some money in the industry, and you know, you sell some records and whatever. And I didn't want to be broke again. So I was like, when I make money, I want to do something.
Good goal, by the way. Try not to be broke again.
You know, it scared the shit out of me. You know, I don't want to be broke again. So instead of spending it on cars and material things that essentially depreciate in value, I was fortunate enough to be around friends. I got one of my best friends, Cyrus Niku, and Joey Sapazada. They're private equity guys. And I didn't go to business school as a kid. I wasn't in that world at all. But, you know, hanging out with my friends and going to play golf and listening to them on speakerphone talking about, you know, what is the EBITDA valuation of this company? And, you know, and I'll be like, what's the EBITDA mean? They'll be like, you know, earnings before interest and tax and depreciation and so amortization. I'll be like, well, what does that mean? And just asking the questions, and I think using your friends that aren't necessarily in your industry as tools to learn about things that you don't know. And through that, I learned about trading companies, really, and like the business side of things. And it was kind of accidental, but the auto-tune deal came on a friend's table. And he said, oh, Jess, you know, you're in music, you know about music. Do you want to come and look at this deal with me? And I said, Dad, it's auto-tune. I mean, I use that for like 14 hours a day anyway.
And you actually created product for them as well, too. Right? Yeah.
So after we acquired the company, I came up with obviously the idea of classic mode, which was bringing.
We all thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
With Chris Brown, for instance, we always used 5. And when the new OS operating systems came out, we couldn't upgrade. You know, with the new Macs came out, we couldn't upgrade. We couldn't go 64-bit and so on and so forth. So I was like, what would be genius is if we could bring that sound back, the way that it tracks, the way it behaves.
So you call it classic, and now you can buy it, music.
Yeah, well, the team did a great job of developing it, and they named it Classic. I just wanted, I was like, however we do it, we need to bring AutoTune 5 back.
It seems to me, you tell me, particularly from your perspective, you know, we started talking to them recently, and everybody's impressed with it. As Dave says, you know, it's actually become a verb. But they seem to be in a company that thinks about the musician and tries to come up with things for the musician, and they think about it from a musical standpoint and their new product. Is that the read you have on Antares and what they're currently doing with their current product?
Well, beforehand, it was owned by Andy. And Andy and his wife developed it. It was, you know, 1994, he invented it, and he was a rocket scientist. And he developed it by accident for a friend who needed it. And you know, he did an amazing job with it. And Andy, when he sold the company to us, we just figured there was so much we could do with it because we're musicians.
Exactly.
So it was like, now it's musicians making software for musicians, as opposed to, you know, before it was engineers making software for musicians.
And there's a big difference.
There's a big difference.
When I speak with them, or Talisha speaks with them, who's on our team, it's always from a musician's point of view, and it's always, here's what this newest product is going to do that's going to make the job easier, or here's what's going to happen with pitch, or here's what's going to happen with these plugins, or here's what's going to happen with live, and all these different, and they have more things coming. So it's refreshing because not every company, certainly we do business with, thinks that way or starts from that premise. And they either looking at product or commercialism or profit margin or...
Yeah, exactly. You know. And a lot of the time it's not authentic or it's not real. And I think that, you know, I think the best inventions come out of necessity. They come out of, you know, the need for something. And, you know, for instance, with AutoKey, it was a product that I was tired of using third-party plugins or applications to figure out the key of a song. And, you know, you could go to a piano and figure out the key of a song, but sometimes in your sessions, you don't have a piano nearby.
Right.
Or guitar. And you just need to figure out the key quickly. The artist is already in the booth and they're like, let's go.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then instead of trying every key and trying to figure it out, and I don't have perfect pitch like some people do. So I have great relative pitch, but it's no good when you're trying to figure out a key. So, you know, I was like, why don't we create it so that it can figure out the pitch of the beat? And that's how auto key came about.
You are such a
When you record, what describe your vocal chain and what mic you use and everything.
Okay, so I think it depends on what artists I'm working with.
Let's say Tiger.
Okay, so back with Tiger, I wouldn't record through auto-tune. I would have that on a track. Sometimes there's a little bit, like not much. And I would use, I brought it with me actually. I built this microphone. Me and Mike still use it to this day. So this is one of the first mics I built. And it's, here, you can hold it and fuck around with it.
Damn.
It's got an AKG head basket. Yeah, you just twist it and pull it. And
it's got a tube.
Yeah, so that's the Sony C800G tube.
A Neumann capsule.
And yeah, a Neumann capsule. So it's based on the U47 circuit.
Beautiful.
And I put if you pull the tube all the way off, if you just pull the tube all the way off, Herb, you see I put an LA2A, you know, the compressor LA2A. So at the bottom, that's the output transformer for the LA2A. And
go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was just, you know, sort of like a mix and match of like different components to try and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And
in the event you get into conflict and you hit somebody with this.
It's a good tool to have under your seat.
Yeah, that's where I was going. But so what's vocals for you? Is there any part of the process, because you're a guy who likes to make beats and drums, but as you pay attention to all the other things that you record, do you apply your nerdy technology thing to everything? Or is it is the whole process?
Yeah.
Whatever you get your hands on.
Vocals is everything.
That's
you
what I was
know,
gonna
it's
say.
the song, it's the root of the song.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Do you have a reverb plugin that you use for vocals?
Yeah, it's called No Reverb.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got you. Cool.
No, yeah.
Yeah, good.
But
you're a purist and a techie all together at the same time. It's kind of cool, actually.
Reverb's a bit cheesy sometimes, you know? But now, I mean, you know, with a mic, you can put, you know, Dave, I mean, you can put up, you know, any mic, a whole wide variety of mics with the same singer, and it can sound like they're in a country and western, and the next minute it can sing like they're on a 2018, you know, Top of the Pops. Or,
Absolutely.
you know, you can sound real modern and brittle. You can sound like, it can sound like a record. And I love U47s. I love the sound of those. I love the sound of Elam 251s and C12s.
How did you get along your journey to Mike Dean and the Kanye camp and working on that stuff? Because I know that's a particular, you know, that's a particular camp. People are chosen very carefully, and you have to be secure. How did all that come about?
So I guess, you know, Kanye asked Mike to help out on one of the Tiger projects one time. And you know, me and Mike just hit it off straight away.
Right.
Really.
Right.
Like, I know he walked in, he was like, who the fuck is this? Who's this guy, you know?
You do a good Mike Dean, actually. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's him being very articulate.
Yeah, it took me about a year to learn to speak Mike Dean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's its own language in itself.
It is his own language.
Yeah. And you know, he went under the desk. One time the SSL, like, you know, it stopped working, and he just got on his back and he's turned all the buckets off, turned them back on us, and the assistant's going, "You can't do that, sir." He's like, "Well, I'm doing it." And I just thought, you know what, me and this guy are gonna get along really well,
dude. Yeah. Oh man.
And you know, after that, we stayed in touch, because at the time Mike lived in New York and I lived in LA, and we would just you know, text each other all the time, like, "I'm doing this, I'm using this now, what gear, this and that, rah, rah, rah. Have you been paid yet?" "Nah, me neither." And you know, you know, on different stuff. And And like we would just talk about that stuff and stayed in touch. And then one day he invited me to go to one of the Kanye concerts. And I went down and he had this tour bus. And I stepped on this tour bus. Me and Ali went together. And we stepped on this tour bus and Mike's there going, "What's up, guys?" And he had these two huge tannoys and dual 18s on this tour bus. Wow. I mean, you can imagine this tiny little tour bus with these 18-inch subwoofers on there and like just blowing the whole stadium away. Me and Ali just looked at each other like, what the hell's going on?
Right.
Yeah, I had no idea you could fit a rig like that in a small bus like that. And he was mixing Travis Scott Birds at the time. And it just, I mean, it blew our heads off. And I said, I need that. Whatever you've got there, I need. He said, oh, it's custom sub. I can't tell you how to make that. Maybe I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone else. And I still got that sub to date. And then yeah, I just sort of made the joke, you know, when you move into LA, he's like, oh, actually, we're looking for a house at the moment. And yeah, we hang out together every day since.
How long has the relationship been?
I don't know.
4 or 5 years?
Yeah, something for it, yeah.
Unbelievable. And what have you gleaned from the relationship creatively? What do you think he's gotten from you?
I learn so much from him every day.
Yeah, like what kind of stuff?
Oh my God.
Certainly stuff about subs, apparently.
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, I think it's more musical stuff, really. Like, you know, leading notes on chords and, you know, sort of the theory stuff that I didn't really get to learn as a kid. And then how he approaches recording. You know, because Mike's like one of them guys where he doesn't really set out like, okay, I'm going to make a beat now. He kind of just gets on the stuff and like starts playing chords and whatever, and something happens and then he's like, oh, was I recording? You're like, yeah, it was actually. Oh, cool, yeah, loop that bit. And it just sort of comes together that way. And I like the organic way that he works. It's not pressurized. It's not contrived in any way. It's just like, well, this sounds good.
And it's genius.
Yeah, I mean,
it is straight genius.
The thing about Mike that I've always respected and liked and tried to emulate is there's no boundaries or limits on him. When he goes to be creative, he has everything on earth and everything before him and after him at his disposal. And you're right, it just oozes out of his pores.
Yeah.
It's
Mike, it's clipping a little bit. Let's push it harder. Like, I like that.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. He's refreshing on every level.
And he is the first person who's ever been on Pensado's Place who caught fire while he was on the show.
I heard that story.
Yeah, we didn't realize that he was quietly vaping. And I was like, God, man, he's on fire, but he's not. He's impervious to pain, so I'm not going to bring it up. But there's smoke coming out of his head. Part of what, because I think your curiosity is just innate, like you're just not going to stop. And we were talking before the show started, there's potentially an approach to your artistry that you're thinking about tapping into. Is that correct? Yeah? Tell us about it.
No, I want to go back to making music for myself. You know, it's fun doing stuff with other people and like making music, you know, engineering other people's albums, mixing them and, you know, producing them and stuff. But I think nothing's like when you make your own music and release it.
What type of music are you going to do?
I don't know, a bit of everything. Probably some bit of UK drill, go back to the UK stuff.
Love it. Do you still listen to a lot of the old, there's a great hip hop scene in London right now.
Yeah, it's really going.
And it's its own scene. It's not a copy of American hip hop.
Right.
It's UK stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, there was a time where we were in the UK, we were just copying what the Americans were doing. We didn't have our own sounds. And then out of that, we had the UK garage stuff that came about, which was like, you know, 134 BPM, skippy kind of stuff. And I was happy.
I like
champagne music.
Yeah, I love the double time thing.
The double time thing, right?
Yeah,
and then we used to sample that. And then there was the drum and bass and jungle thing where we sampled the reggae and the raggo and everything else. And now, you know, obviously you've got the drill movement and, you know, the whole hip hop scene out there, which is its own thing. And we're not copying the UK. No. We've got our own movement.
You got your own stuff.
And you got artists like Drake who are jumping on our beats now. So that's exciting for me.
Well, you got to be part of that, man. Just because your journey's so interesting. Maybe we should bring up your friend and collaborator. What do you think? Should we?
Let's bring him up.
I had to take this opportunity to utilize Jess Jackson's creation to welcome the one, the only, long friend of the show, incredible genius, Mike Dean. Hey, man.
Hey, Mike.
What's up, Verb?
What up, bro? How are you?
Let's do a fist bump.
All right.
I'm too lazy.
Good to see you, buddy.
So, this thing together here, one of the things that Jess said about you is that your process is just unfiltered. You just go do what you need to do and you worry about the way it sounds and you don't follow any rules. Is that the Mike Dean way?
Yeah, it's just unthinking, you know.
Yeah,
just
it's feeling.
Going by instinct and feeling.
Yeah. It's worked out pretty well.
So, yeah.
Yeah, not so bad, right? And the thing about you that even when you were on the last time, when we had the famous vaping incident, which was wonderful, you still participate.
The last time I smoked a joint.
Oh, that's right.
Time before last.
And then we got in trouble for that, which I'll tell you about later. But we survived it, which means you have a license to do whatever the hell you want when you come on the show. Do you have anything now?
Oh, what the fuck is that jacket? Come on.
There you go. That's how it looked on the show.
Madonna gave me that.
So you still participate on the live side, right? In the EDM space and so forth, get up on stage? And
I mean, mostly with Travis and
Travis.
Kanye. Yeah.
Gotcha. Are you playing synths during that
Yeah,
time?
synths, guitar. With Kanye, I'm like the one-man band, DJ and all that.
What do you get?
Whoa.
Do you get stuff from that helps in your production and engineering
Yeah,
stuff?
definitely. Like when I started playing live with Kanye, when we'd play the songs, we'd start adding stuff live and that kind of would become the vibe for the next album, you know?
And are you able to then take, and both of you can answer this, you're able to see things that work for a crowd and then
see what works,
take it back to records?
See what works on the speakers, you know, all that, you know?
Both you guys were in Wyoming for the famous Wyoming sessions. What was that all about? What happened?
Defer to Jess.
I mean, you know, we had
Why
to do
Wyoming?
5 albums in 5 weeks. Maybe because there's no distractions.
Oh, okay.
It's quiet. There's barely any cell phone service. It's peaceful.
And you did 5 albums in 5 weeks?
Yeah.
We were there for like a month before the album started coming out. And then we worked for like 2 weeks there. And then we moved to LA for a couple of weeks to finish the last
Was it fun?
3. It was fun, I guess, if you like getting the IVs and almost dying.
I found it fun. I've never been to Wyoming in my life.
No, it was fun. I mean,
Sound like a survival course. That's what it sounded
it
like.
was a bitch.
I bet.
Sean almost got ran over by a moose.
Oh my
smoking a
God,
cigarette.
that's not
There was
good.
a moose that visited our studio every day.
Jesus.
I think we got like put it on our Instagrams.
Those are big beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no joke.
But no, I love Wyoming. I've never been there before. So for me, it was like, you know, cowboys and this and that. We, you know.
Did the isolation and solitude and all that kind of stuff help your creativity or hinder it? Did it inspire other things? Was it any different?
And the view was great.
Yeah, no, I think it does because it allows you to focus on a lot more. And then you kind of don't really have a sense of time. You know? You're just kind of in a...
Yeah, like on, I guess Wednesday's the day I would start waking up about 6 a.m. and start mixing every day.
Because the albums had to come out by Friday.
Well, Thursday night, Kanye would have a listening party and for every album. And I had to personally take it there and play it. It's the rule.
Wow. That's under the gun.
Kanye's like in the car recording vocals, sending them back on the way to the listening party. Put this in this song. Put this in this song.
Texting us lines.
Fun. Well, that'll keep
We had
you
that
on
one
your feet.
listening party, your battery was on like, must have been like 2% or something.
Battery's only like 8% left, and they're like, play it again. It's like,
Do you guys share the super nerd technical thing as well?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't build electronics, but
Right.
besides that.
But you've always been somebody that's gear focused and
Oh, yeah.
way into it. Speaking of your ownership in Antares, are you still developing product? What's going on with them now? Are you developing new things?
So-
Like what kind of stuff?
So I'm always looking for new things. And like I said, you know, I think the best things come out of necessity, needing something. So I wait until me and Mike are like in a project or whatever, and like we're halfway through and we're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it did this? And,
Oh, shit.
Mike's on fire.
something's
Something's in the air. I
had to
love
do
that.
that.
Oh, no, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and you know, we just wait until, you know, something goes wrong, or you know, you need a new tool. Wouldn't it be cool if it did this? And, oh, okay, I'll write that down. Send it to the team, and the team's great. You know, like we keep it really organized.
Are you the chief idea guy for the most part?
In terms of ideas, maybe there's a few of us with ideas and stuff, and we've just created a new part of the company, which is the we call it the CAB. It's the Creative Advisory Board, which Mike's also on.
Oh, nice.
You know, we've got Justin Vernon on there as well, and a few others. And you know, it's for a way for the professionals in our industry to come together and put their ideas forward.
Great idea. Great idea. Yeah.
And you know, collaborate.
I'm on the CAB, but it's the community. I am. It's for a radio station. It's called the Community Advisory Board. Same thing, but
Right.
different place. No, it's fascinating because oftentimes, because there's so much technology available, sometimes you don't see technologists making music. You just see people who say, I can use this plugin or this tool, but not really understand it, not really get in the guts of it, not change things. So it's nice to see that kind of commitment come out musically. So come out in your artistry, it comes out on stage, comes out in both your production. You like to master?
Yeah.
He's a great master.
Yeah?
I've mastered everything I've done since 96,
You
except
won't
for
let
like a couple
anybody else
Kanye albums.
Yeah. Oh, I had no
Mastered all the Ghetto Boys shit.
Mike, I've never asked you this before. How important was being from Houston in your career? Not just the Scarface thing, but
Right.
just as a
Very. I mean,
creative.
it's South, you know. It's like it's like the next best thing to Memphis as far as blues and shit like that.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of got my.
How's that creep into your work today? What I'm getting at is a lot of times as musicians, we want to leave the place where we're from, but a lot of times the best ideas we'll ever have come from that place.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you see Travis, we're very Houston on his stuff. You know, it's worked real well. We have a new artist, Don Tolliver. He's from Houston, very Houston. Like we're not trying to sound like we're from LA or from New York. Like trying to keep it.
And define what the Houston sound is? Is it a bluesy thing? Is it?
It's kind of a trap thing, kind of R&B. You know,
It's got some R&B undertones.
and it's like real slowed down, tuned down, chopped up drum, like break beats and stuff. We still do a lot of that.
A lot of people credit you with the Dirty South sound, and I'm one of them. The Dirty South sound, if you're from the South, but like we are, it sticks around and just gets a new name every 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, we started they used to call our mixes muddy, and I would hate that, but that just means it's got so much low end on old systems you couldn't hear the high end. You know what I mean? Nowadays you just call it knocking.
Your system can't
This system
system
sucks, man. It's not, buddy. This is genius.
I mean, you know, some of my old mixes I made in like 92, 93. It's my first year mixing, you know.
Yeah, but
Still came out and went platinum, but you know, it's
Amazing.
shit mixes. But
Who influenced you coming up? Who are some of the influences you look up to or even
I
continue?
mean, George Clinton, like, what is his name? The twin albino brothers, Johnny and Edgar Winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like Black Sabbath.
Frankenstein.
All kinds of shit.
Yeah. Great record.
Yeah.
How about you? Who are your influences?
I was a bit after that, so like my influences were more like ragga bass, like Aswad, and like you know,
for a while.
You know, a bit more Jamaican influences, because you know in London we had Notting Hill Carnival, and that was my favourite time of year.
Right, you had a lot of Jamaican friends, a lot of Jamaican influences, Jamaican food. Oh my God.
He used to live the people just do nothing life in real life.
Have you seen that show on TV?
It's about the pirate radio channel in England. It's great in London. He used to actually have a podcast. Did you talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's fascinating that you could climb up to the top of Wembley or a tall building and have 300 watts and get to 17 million people. I mean, that's just, how long would you stay on the air till the feds came up and...
Sometimes it would be a few hours, and then sometimes you get the whole weekend. But we always had a backup transmitter, so if we went down, we'd just go on another
go to
building
another
and do it.
location.
Oh yeah, because where your studio was, it was never where your transmitter was.
Right.
You transmitted to your transmitter. You know what I mean? Using a microwave link.
Gotcha.
So it was, you were okay. So if you went on off air, you knew because you listened to yourself on the radio.
Right.
Were you at Enterprise when I built my own FM transmitter? And my clients would come to the studio when they'd get about 4 or 5 miles away. I'd broadcast the song to them, and the feds hit up Enterprise, and I got in trouble.
I didn't hear about that one.
You were there. I think it was during the time you were there too. It was fun. I felt like I had my own little radio station.
I think I remember that though, because we had like a bunch of internet shit going on.
Yeah,
too.
I know.
This was when the internet was brand new.
Yeah.
Once you've had a bunch of success, right, and your phones ring and all that kind of stuff, and people don't understand this, complications come with success. Like, it's not all, I'm here and that's all just roses. There's demands and people to work with and NDAs. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on. What stimulates you to continue? Is it the music, or do you see aspirations for your own thing that you want to do? Like, what is freeing to Mike Dean at this point?
Kind of making my own music right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm concentrating on for the rest of this year after I finish up a couple more projects.
As Mike the artist?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Is like, I'm thinking about doing a double EP. One EP of like the music I make with artists, that type of stuff.
Right.
And one EP of like synth.
Oh, I love that.
Synth music,
Do that. Please do that.
I'm working on doing that. All my friends are pushing me to do it. Jess is pushing me.
I've been saying for years, please do this. Please.
That way I can go play festivals by myself.
Because you're going to go play with an EDM guy, right? Who?
Yeah, Gustaffelstein. I'm supposed to open for him in LA in November.
It's Mike's studio. It's not short of a couple of keyboards.
Yeah, he needs it. Yeah, I see.
Oh, man.
Missing a few, though.
There's the SK30.
Right there. Probably the most important question of the day is, can we go to the show in LA when it's time, when you're here? We would like to get tickets to go, for sure. We will be in touch.
You mean you don't want to go to the one in Barcelona?
Well, actually, maybe I'd rather go do that one. Can I get on the private jet with you guys and go? What are you guys working on now? Anything interesting?
Yeah.
Anything interesting that you can talk about? Apparently not.
I mean, you're working on...
So I'm working on...
Dudes.
I'm working on this artist called Harry Hudson, who's I did a song.
With Jaden?
Yeah, so I did a song with him and Jaden Smith called Slide.
Right.
And he's a good friend of mine. Lovely, lovely, lovely guy. He's a singer, songwriter, super talented. And I'm currently executing his album at the moment. Me and Mike are doing it together.
Oh, very
And
cool.
Jess has been really doing all the heavy lifting on that.
Is that right?
Yeah, good job.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, is artist development part of any school's tool set that you guys have? Do you like finding artists and developing them and trying to bring them up and make music, or no?
Yeah, in what way?
Well, there's the business part of it that sometimes ties to creative people, or do you just like the creative part?
No, just the creative part.
Got it.
Yeah.
You
I
too,
stay
Mike?
away from all that.
Stay away from all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Depends, Depends who it is. Like I help Travis, get his sound defined, but
You were very...
he's not signed to me though. But
Right.
the next
your
guy, I think the
hands.
next guy will be.
Gotcha.
Hopefully.
Learn something from the last time around.
Exactly,
And then,
Learn from me.
I mean,
And that's really why I ask, because usually when you have some success at some point in time, there are things that you may want to have more input on or benefit better from, or so on and so forth, or sometimes things don't go well, and you learn that in that journey. You know what I mean? Because there's only a few ways to do it.
Both of you guys are sitting at an incredible vantage point. Where do you see things going? Where do you see the hip hop world going? Are we still? We're getting a little bit away now from 75. I mean, is like next year.
I think music's getting better. Like musically, like people are. I see more and more young people learning how to play again. But then on the other side, I see a lot of apps like chord apps that write songs for you. Like what's next? Like you just tell your computer, write me 20 songs and I'll pick my favorite 3 and submit them to, it's like, But I like seeing a lot of people that are playing nowadays.
Do you see hip hop continuing its trend at the top? I mean, hip hop is the new pop.
Yeah, I think so.
It feels like it's gonna. Every time they predict the demise of hip hop, it just gets bigger. You know.
It just keeps infiltrating other genres. You know.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it's sort of changing a little bit, Dave, where like before it was just all about the music and then you had a music video that goes along with it. Now it's like people are selling T-shirts and that counts as a spin. You know, people are selling like CDs and that, you know, like, and it's like no one's got a CD player no more. People are selling vinyls now.
Well, vinyl sells more than CDs now.
Yeah, vinyl's made a huge comeback. So I think it's turning into like a novelty thing. You need a thing. You know, the kids want a thing that's not just the music. It's like a visual and something to follow, a way of life.
It's
maybe.
a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
And it infiltrates everything. And plus it cuts across everything. You see it in every commercial. You see it in every
More people discover music through YouTube. So we watch music. We don't listen like we used to. We watch it more.
And Instagram.
Or we just watch a picture and listen to it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it can be anywhere. It can be a restaurant, it can be a movie.
Yeah.
It can be when I go to movies a lot, people are Shazamming all the time.
I mean, Shazam has their charts, and that's how people pick what they're going to promote off an album once it.
So the music that infiltrates across all those lifestyles and brands and technology platforms is going to be the biggest.
But I like it now because instead of having like 3 guys in the office going, this is the single, and putting all the money behind it, you just.
But do you think that could ruin music as well? Like,
no, you just look at your stats.
Looking at algorithms.
You look at stats, and whatever song is doing the best, you put the money behind that, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to guess anymore.
And now it operates separately. Like you could have a big radio hit and it exists in its own ecosystem and sells things. And then you can have a streaming underground hit over here. Like it all doesn't go to one place anymore. It's all one thing.
Right.
But the thing that has to happen, because you're from the UK, you're from Houston, both of you guys, there's a lot of athletic background. We have a thing called Batter's Box. And we have to see how good you're going to be at Batter's Box. There you go. That's exactly right.
We're both from different countries. I'm from Texas. He's from
I'm from
UK.
Canada.
We was playing rounders and they was playing baseball.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Wait, what was the...
I'm not from the US. I'm from
Texas. Questions just in case.
I'm from Canada.
Texas is his own country.
No.
And Dave's from Spain, and they play rice.
So how we can do this?
Texas has the right to sing.
Wait a minute. I was talking about
Batter's Box. We have time
I
limitations.
resemble that remark.
Okay, let's go.
Rice is good. All right, here we go.
Box.
Both of you.
Kicks.
Delayed.
Reverb.
Less.
None.
Stereo bus.
As little as possible.
No oxes.
Limiters.
Multiple.
Snares.
Distorted.
What about you, man?
Fat.
Grime.
Lovely.
Great.
Bass.
More.
Delays.
Delays.
Great answer. That's a great answer.
That was good.
That was real good. Virtual synths.
No.
Loops.
Make your own.
Last but not least, my favorite, 808s.
Delayed.
Full take.
I have nothing.
But watch
Let's get David Batter's Box.
Okay, you guys go. 5 questions
I'll
for
take
Dave.
one.
EQ.
My own that's about to come out.
Pensado.
Insecure.
Compression.
Don't like it.
Limiting.
Limiting has a use.
I don't like compression either.
Saturation.
Necessary.
Okay, we're going way over 5.
No, it's fine. I love it.
Completely necessary. Necessary.
We turn it around on Dave.
Well, as this show devolves now into absolute wonderfulness, here's what I would say before you take us home. One, it is great to see collaborations that work as natural as you guys do and creates great music. Two, the fact that you're musicians and have not let go of any of that is really refreshing to see, because that's not always the case with our guests. The fact that you're technologists and are willing to tinker and get involved and make those sonic landscapes and so on and so forth, and, you know, help shape a company like Antares and have it be such a musician-led, for musician kind of philosophy is also great. And I think the fearlessness, I think if anything, the lesson is follow your instinct, do your thing, do it from feel, make sure it feels good, don't worry about rules, right?
Basically, yeah.
And the way that you define the way Mike speaks earlier, it was beautiful when you first met him.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Dave, take us home.
If I speak the same language.
We should give Sean Solomon over here a shout out. He was Jess's intern.
Sean, how are you, man? It's good to see you again.
He used to be my intern, and I introduced him to Mike, and then, you know, things changed.
Racist history. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Sean, you can do better.
Take us home.
That's a tough one. Creative people have a tendency to become a little bit introverted, and it's so much more fun for me to be alone in my studio than to go out into the real world where nasty things happen. And today has made me realize I'm completely wrong, hanging out with two of my friends, and Mike and I have a lot of history, and it just makes me feel good to see other people. So I think I'm going to leave you with this. As engineers, let's get out, let's socialize more, let's hang out with our friends, let's help our friends, and let's be a friend.
And watch Pensado's Place.
And we'll see you next week.